So have you ever walked into a room and just felt like, I don't know, like you didn't quite belong? Even when logically you knew you absolutely did.
Oh, definitely. Or that feeling where you have something really valuable to say, but you just hesitate.
Exactly. That hesitation. It's surprisingly common, isn't it? For the longest time, I honestly thought confidence was just like a gift. You either had it or you didn't. Mm-hmm. But what if that's wrong? What if it's actually a skill, something you can, learn and practice and actually get better at?
Well, that's exactly what we're planning to dive into today.
Yeah.
Our whole mission for this deep dive is to really unpack self-confidence, what it is, why it sometimes falters.
Right.
And crucially, how you can actively build it, like a skill, not just wishful thinking.
Okay, let's unpack this right away then. Because I think there's a huge difference between real confidence and, well, arrogance, right? People mix those up all the time.
They really do.
That outward bravado gets mistaken for genuine self-assurance. So what is the core distinction? Especially when you think about how often that quiet certainty gets totally overlooked for, like, loud declarations.
That's such a great point. There's a massive misperception there. True confidence, it's not really about being loud or needing to prove yourself. It's more about congruence, being aligned.
Congruence.
Yeah. Arrogance, though, that often comes from a place of insecurity deep down. It's this need to project superiority, maybe even put others down a bit, just to feel okay yourself.
So it's like a shield.
Yeah.
It's a performance.
Exactly. It's a performance covering up vulnerability. Confidence, on the other hand, it's quieter. It's like a quiet knowing, a deep sort of settled belief in your own abilities, your own worth that doesn't require you to make anyone else feel small. It's trusting yourself, trusting you can handle things.
Even if you don't have all the answers right then.
Precisely. Even without all the answers, it's about being comfortable in your own skin. And what's really interesting is the idea that action breeds confidence. You don't wait around to feel confident before you act. You act, you do the thing, and that consistent action is what actually builds the confidence. That's pretty foundational for what we're talking about today.
Action breeds confidence. Wow, that really flips the usual script, doesn't it? We tend to think we need the feeling first. So if that's real confidence, where does the opposite, low self-confidence, where does that tend to come from? It feels so widespread.
Oh, it is. And there are so many factors, but a few things really stand out consistently. First off, comparison, big one. In this world we live in now, so connected, right? We're just constantly seeing the highlight reels of everyone else's lives.
Yeah, the curated perfection.
Exactly. And it's not just what we see, it's how our brains work. We have this sort of self-other bias. We tend to amplify other people's wins and downplay our own efforts.
Oh, yeah.
So you look at someone else's amazing trip or their promotion or their seemingly perfect family moments, and boom, you feel like you just don't measure up. It's a constant, often subconscious thing, and it just eats away at confidence.
I know exactly that feeling. Scrolling through social media, suddenly everyone's living their best life except you, right?
Yeah.
That highlight reel thing is so sneaky and powerful.
It really, really is. Second big factor, negative self-talk.
The inner critic.
The inner critic, exactly. The stories we tell ourselves inside our heads are incredibly potent. If you're constantly telling yourself, I'm not smart enough, I can't handle this, I'm not worthy, well, your brain starts to believe it.
It becomes reality.
It becomes your self-fulfilling reality, unfortunately. And then the third massive one is just the fear of failure.
Right.
So many people just avoid trying. They avoid risks, new things, anything where they might mess up or not succeed perfectly. And that fear keeps them playing small. Crucially, it stops them from getting those small wins.
The very wins that would build the confidence they're waiting for.
Precisely. It's a catch-22.
That makes total sense. And, it brings up something else. Is there a difference between, let's say, inner confidence and outer confidence? Because I feel like sometimes people can put on a really good show.
Oh, absolutely.
Projecting confidence, looking the part, but inside they're just a mess, wobbly.
That's a brilliant observation. And yes, absolutely. Outer confidence is often what people see, right? It's your posture, how you hold yourself, eye contact, the way you speak, your general vibe. And you can definitely act confident, fake it till you make it to some extent, even when you're shaking inside. And sometimes that acting as if can actually be a pretty useful starting point.
How so?
Well, it can sort of trick your body, your physiology into sending slightly more positive signals back to your brain. It creates a bit of a feedback loop.
Okay, so like a good tactic to get started, but it's not the whole picture.
Exactly, not the whole journey.
Yeah.
Because inner confidence, That's where the real sustainable stuff happens. That's the deep belief in yourself, no matter what's going on outside. It's knowing your worth, even when you make a mistake or when things don't go your way. Your self-worth isn't tied to external validation. And true, lasting confidence really shows up when that outer presentation and that inner feeling start to match up, start to reinforce each other.
Okay, so that's the goal, aligning the inner and the outer. How do we actually do that? How do we cultivate that inner confidence?
Yeah.
Let's get into some, practical things people can actually do.
Yeah.
What are your top strategies for someone listening right now who wants to build this from the inside out, like starting today?
Okay, yeah, let's get practical. I've got 4 key strategies that I see making a huge difference again and again. First one, keep small promises to yourself.
Small promises, okay?
It sounds almost ridiculously simple, maybe, but the psychological impact is massive. When you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to exercise for just 15 minutes, or I'll read 1 chapter, or I'll finally send that email I've been avoiding, and then you actually do it. You build trust with yourself. It's like making a deposit in your self-confidence bank.
A deposit, I like that.
Yeah, it literally proves to your brain, hey, I'm reliable, I follow through, I'm capable. It reinforces that whole action breeds confidence idea we talked about.
Building trust with yourself. That's a really powerful frame. It's like an internal contract. And yeah, we break those all the time, don't we? How do you even begin if you're just so used to letting yourself down on those little things?
You start incredibly small, like almost laughably small. Promise yourself 1 minute of exercise. Read 1 sentence, just something you absolutely know you can do.
Okay, low bar. Got it.
Very low bar to start. My second tip is to practice positive self-talk. This is about actively challenging those negative stories we mentioned.
By the inner critic again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When that little voice starts whispering, you can't do this, or you're going to fail, or you're not good enough, you have to interrupt it.
Just stop it.
Well, not just stop it, but reframe it. Ask yourself, okay, what can I do? Or maybe choose a different thought entirely, like, I'm capable of learning this, or I can figure this out. It really is like training a muscle in your brain. It takes consistency. It's not about being perfect at it right away.
So you don't ignore the negative voice,
Yeah.
but you consciously redirect it. Sounds simple, but I bet breaking those old mental habits is really tough.
It is tough, absolutely. But like any skill, it gets easier with practice. Okay, third tip. Take small, courageous actions daily.
Small, courageous actions.
Okay. This means stepping just a little bit outside your comfort zone. Tiny steps. Maybe it's speaking up for like 30 seconds in a meeting when you normally stay quiet. Or trying a new recipe that looks a bit complicated. Asking that question you feel silly asking. Introducing yourself to 1 new person at an event.
So not massive, scary leaps.
No. Small, deliberate steps into slight discomfort. Because every single time you do something that feels a little bit uncomfortable and you survive, which, spoiler alert, you will,
Right.
your brain gathers evidence. Evidence that says, hey, I handled that. I'm capable. I'm resilient. And slowly, almost without you noticing, your comfort zone starts to expand.
Incremental bravery. Pushing the edge just a tiny bit, consistently. That makes sense. It's how we build any skill, really, or muscle.
Precisely. And that leads to my final tip, which is huge. Stop waiting to feel ready.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one.
It paralyzes so many people. We tell ourselves, oh, I'll apply for that job when I feel more confident, or I'll start that project when I feel ready.
Guilty.
Right. But the truth is, you almost never feel fully ready before you start something new or challenging. Confidence usually comes after you take the action, especially after you rack up a few of those small wins.
You build the ship as you sail it.
Exactly. You build the ship as you sail it, not sitting in the harbor planning forever. So just take the first step, even if you feel completely unprepared.
What do you think is a common block there when people try to just start? I think it's often that fear of the first step being messy, right? Or not perfect. We want to feel like we know what we're doing before we even begin, instead of realizing that competence comes from the doing, from the process. These strategies are fantastic, though. Really actionable. Exactly what someone listening needs.
I agree. And, we actually got a listener question that just perfectly captures this struggle. This is from Sarah. She asks, I always feel like I'm not good enough. How do I even start feeling confident?
Oh, Sarah, that's such a raw and honest question.
It really is. Sarah, thank you so much for sharing that. It's incredibly vulnerable. And please know you are absolutely not alone in feeling that way. That feeling of not good enough is so often right at the core of low confidence. My heart really goes out to you.
Mhm.
To start, I'd really encourage you to get curious about that voice, that internal narrative telling you you're not good enough. Where did it actually come from? Is it truly your belief? Or is it maybe an echo of something someone else said maybe years ago?
Yep.
Often, these are just old tapes playing messages we internalize that aren't even ours. And sometimes just recognizing that, just seeing it for what it is, can be incredibly powerful.
That's a huge realization, isn't it? When you trace those thoughts back and realize, wait, that's not even my voice. Like you've been carrying someone else's baggage, like you said.
It really is like that. So the core strategy here, Sarah, is to start with self-compassion. Seriously. Instead of battling that not good enough feeling, try acknowledging it with kindness.
Mhm.
Just say to yourself something like, okay, I'm feeling like I'm not good enough right now. And that's okay. Lots of people feel this way sometimes. Treat yourself gently, like you would treat a dear friend who is struggling.
That gentleness is key, isn't it?
It's foundational. Then start incredibly small, just like we were discussing. Pick one tiny, courageous action. Maybe it's just journaling for 5 minutes about one thing you are actually good at, or one quality you like about yourself, or do one tiny task you've been avoiding.
Back to the small promises.
Exactly, because every single time you follow through, even if it feels totally insignificant, you send a message back to yourself. See, I can do things. I am capable. And over time, these tiny acts of self-trust and self-kindness, they start to chip away at that heavy, not good enough feeling. You begin building a new, stronger foundation for yourself, brick by tiny brick.
That's such a beautiful and really strategic answer. Starting with self-compassion, creating that safe space inside first. Wow, we've covered some really incredible ground here, some great insights and really practical tips in this deep dive, especially highlighting how these actionable strategies build confidence bit by bit.
And this really raises an important question for you listening right now. What are you going to do with this information? Talk is great, but action is where change happens.
Right.
So we want to give you a really tangible challenge, something to kickstart your own journey. For the next 5 days, we want you to try this. We're calling it the 5-day self-confidence action list.
Okay, I like it. A 5-day challenge. What's involved?
All right, day 1, identify and reframe. Just pay attention. Notice your negative self-talk. When you catch it, don't beat yourself up, just gently challenge it. Reframe it from harsh criticism into something maybe more neutral, or even a compassionate question like, okay, what can I learn from this? Is that really true?
Got it. Day 1, observe and reframe.
Day 2, keep a small promise. Pick one tiny thing you've been putting off. Tiny, making your bed, sending that one short email, reading 2 pages of a book. Just choose one and do it. Follow through. That's the key, building that internal trust.
Okay. Day 2, keep one small promise.
Day 3, take a small, courageous step. Remember, small. Engage in one slightly uncomfortable, low-stakes action. Speak up for a moment in a meeting. Ask that question you're hesitant about. Maybe try a new route on your walk to something a little outside the usual routine. Nudge that comfort zone boundary.
Day 3, small, courageous step. Makes sense.
Day 4, practice self-compassion. This is crucial. When that not good enough feeling inevitably pops up, or any difficult feeling related to confidence, instead of fighting it or judging yourself for feeling it, offer yourself kindness. You could even try placing a hand on your heart and just acknowledging, this feels hard right now, and that's okay. I'm doing my best.
Day 4, active self-compassion. Love that.
And finally, day 5, celebrate a small win. At the end of the day, take just a minute or two. Reflect on and genuinely acknowledge one thing you did well or one step you took towards a goal, no matter how small it feels. Recognize your own effort and progress. Give yourself credit.
Day 5, celebrate a win.
Oh, okay, that's a fantastic, doable 5-day plan. So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
I think this whole deep dive really hammers home that confidence isn't some, final destination you just arrive at one day, fully formed, never to doubt yourself again.
No, definitely not.
It's much more like an ongoing journey, right?
Yeah.
A living process. It's built slowly, incrementally, through these kinds of small, courageous steps, these quiet acts of trusting yourself, day in and day out. The big takeaway, you are far more capable than you probably believe right now. And every tiny step forward you take is real, irrefutable evidence of that fact.